Hello and welcome to the program. I am Deji. Now, business and individuals importing food items into the Nigerian market may not have it easy anymore. This is because President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered the Central Bank of Nigeria to stop providing FOREX for food imports. A move, of course, the president says is aimed at attaining food security, creating employment, and, of course, conserving the country's foreign reserve. Is the latest addition on the country's foreign exchange restriction list, coming barely a month after the Central Bank of Nigeria announced forex restriction on milk and other dairy products, which, according to the CBN, cost the country between $1.2 and $1.5 billion annually. Prior to now, the central bank had placed forex restrictions on 41 items to encourage domestic production and drive self-reliance for the Nigerian economy. Now, what resulted from that is that importers of the items source foreign exchange from the parallel market, where the price of forex, of course, is significantly higher than the official rate. As it currently stands, within markets in Nigeria, food inflation remained higher than the headline inflation, an indication that demand remained higher than supply. The latest headline inflation is 11.08%, but food inflation stands at 13.39%, and that's a clear indication for some people that Nigeria has actually not attained food self-sufficiency yet. So now, as you would expect, the president's statement is generating plenty of reactions. While some are backing the federal government, others are questioning the timing of the initiative. Yet some others say the president's directive to the CBN breaches the apex bank's independence. I'm now being joined by the chairman of Buhari Media Organization, Ni Akinshiju, who joins us from Abuja. Mr. Akinshiju, thank you very much for joining us on the program. First off,
thanks so much.
Does the statement of the president, does it in any way undermine the independence of the central bank?
Well, I think there's a process, between the president, who represents the fiscal authority, and the CBN that represents, or the governor of the CBN that represents the monetary policy authority. To the extent that the president had made these announcements, I don't think there has been a breach, of that protocol or the process, as it were. The president had said he had directed. It's a process. It's an intergovernmental relationship. For you to start talking about breaches, you also need to now to start looking at the processes, the process of communication as defined or itemized in the CBN Act 2007. So, but so far there is no scintilla of truth, in the consideration of a breach, as it were.
But should the president be given directive to the central bank?
The president can give directive as a shared thought. It's one government. Even in the U.S., over the past few months, the president of the United States of America had insisted that he would want the monetary policy rate cut, and the Fed did not do that until I think last month. Meanwhile, the president had been on this for more than 6 months. So it's just it's within the purview of the president to share thoughts with the CBN governor, as it were, on where he thinks the economic direction of the country should go. So it's also a simple fact of intergovernmental relationship, as I noted earlier. So I don't think there's any breach. I don't think there's any conflict, in the matter, as it were.
What do you say, for instance? So opponents have said, look, what the president is trying to do may just amount to putting the cat before the horse. That why not create the enabling environment here, provide the needed infrastructure to enable local manufacturing, for instance, thrive, before you now begin that, look, if you do not have the capacity and you go on to impose this ban or whatever, or restriction, that what you may end up doing is that you make things difficult for the ordinary man, because the price of some of these items may quadruple. For instance, like in the case of rice, for instance, people always point to the fact that the policy is is aiding, for instance, smuggling.
Well, I think the whole thing is being taken from a wrong point of view. My own point of view is simple. First, I reduce myself to the common man point of view. What's the meal? What's the staple for the common man in Nigeria? Rice, fufu, gari, beans, even semovita that is processed in this country. So what are we saying? Those products are not imported into this country. So why would I be bothered, about imported food? I don't take apple. I don't take exotic foods. I don't take imported food. I am only bothered with my gari. I'm bothered with my amala. I'm bothered with my fufu. All those foods are not imported. So why would I be bothered? It's those people that takes exotic foods, those people that turn what do you call it? That turn Irish potato into fried something, French fries. Those are the people that will be bothered. I cannot be bothered. As far as I'm concerned, what the president has done is to create a balance of equity. Those of us that don't eat imported food, and those that have been sponsoring, their exclusive, their exotic taste with our foreign exchange. It does mean that there's a balance now. You cannot use money that I'm supposed to use for more qualitative needs. You cannot use my money to import your food. If you want to import your food, go to the black market, source for money there, and go and import your food. As far as I'm concerned, I am satisfied with the cassava that produce my gari. I am satisfied with the cassava that produce my fufu. I am satisfied with the yam that produce my amala. Or the yam that produce my pounded yam. Those ones are not, in fact, in terms of yam, we are said to be the first or second largest producers in the world. So those things, those items are not produced. I cannot be bothered. Now, if we are talking of industrial needs, that's another thing. I also know that for a long time, there had been a shift, from sorghum usage to, from barley usage by the breweries to sorghum usage that is produced in Nigeria. So for me, it is about looking forward, and it is also about being patriotic. Being patriotic for me is Nigerians becoming self-sufficient in the food that we eat. In the food that we eat and the food that we have cultural inclinations to. So there are no items on the possible ban of this of food that will have our local food listed. Gari cannot be listed. Even our rice already we claim self-sufficiency in it, and it is good for our economy. So whoever is talking about we need to put all things in place, I think there's a need to also review our practical reality. What do we want to put in place? When would we put these things in place? This has been our national ambition for over the last 30 years. We have not been able to achieve it.
Absolutely. Now, what impact do you think this policy now, if implemented to the letter now, what impact do you think it will have on the Africa Free Trade Area Agreement that Nigeria just signed up to not quite long ago? That's a continental free trade agreement.
Yeah, it's simple as it is. The African Free Trade Agreement basically talks to open borders, but we also know that our meal is our meal. Once we are able to ramp up self-sufficiency, it will also help us export, to the rest of Africa. We should be able to be self-sufficient in our yam yam production and export to other African countries. We should be able, the truth also is that Nigeria as a country over time has taught the rest of Africa how to eat gari. So that is a market waiting for us. And of course, we have a large productive capacity in cassava production, So if the fear of other countries bringing in whatever they want to bring in, the truth, the fact of the matter will still be that those other countries would have to tell us, define for us the ingredients that make up the food they are bringing in, they are exporting to us, and by the rule of origin, as long as their food is African contented, there's no problem with it. It will now be left to those who wants to eat those kind of food. I don't, at this age, I can't see myself abandoning my gari, my rice, my fufu and all that, for any other exotic kind of food.
Finally, how does this help? This directive now and the policy, how does it help to make our local industries here competitive?
Well, if you look at what had happened to the rice subsector of the agricultural sector, of course we all are aware of the new empowerment threshold, being experienced in that sector, and of course we also see a new vibrancy in our agricultural production. Now, the truth of the matter is that a figure came into the public space yesterday that we have spent 40 trillion naira, on importing food over the last 20 years. Now, you can imagine if we had had that 40 trillion naira over the last 20 years, and they've deployed it into providing infrastructural facilities and some other needs, where we would be by now. Because what that translates to literally is that we've just been hitting everything we have, and we've just been wasting whatever is our resources. So with this with this policy, what is clear and apparent is you are reversing the flow of wealth. When you import, you take your resources, you take your money, you take your foreign exchange outside this country, you empower other economies, you create job opportunities in those economies, you create new threshold of wealth in those economies. But when you have this kind of policy, you reverse it. It means that you'll be creating more job opportunity, you'll be creating more industries, you'll be creating more wealth, more circular form of wealth and all that. So for me, it is just time Nigerians wake up. We have been eating the future of our country. We have been eating the resources of Nigerian future. So now, can we just be patriotic, and wake up to the needs of Nigerians, and not just to the needs of the present day Nigerians, to the need of future generation of Nigerians, so that we don't just continue to eat food, but let us use money that we use to bring in food from abroad, to build our infrastructure. Where would you get money from infrastructure if we continue to eat everything?
Absolutely. Well, it's on that note we'll leave it. Thank you very much, Nia Kinshiju, for joining us on the program and for your thoughts.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll get another opinion on this issue. On Deji 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment, so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that band.
Deji 360, providing clarity to issues.